Well, with consumers expected to pay more for electricity, let's chat now to Wayne Duvenage. He's the CEO of the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, or OUTA. Wayne, a good morning to you. What's your reaction to the electricity price hike?
Well, it's just so unnecessary if you go back in time. And this is where we say that NERSA was fast asleep at the wheel in their role to keep Eskom in track and in check. You know, and if you go back to 2007, this is where you got to look at it, where it started with Madupi and Kusile coming on. Eskom was earning a revenue of about 39 billion rand a year. That's gone up to well over 200 billion rand a year, more than a 500% increase. And when you start slapping on these annual 15% increases, again, it just makes matters worse. So we are extremely expensive when it comes to the cost of energy. And while all this conduct was going on, where these endless, massive, big power plants, which are inefficient, were just allowed to go way over budget, the primary energy costs that were escalating because of poor decisions made by Eskom to get rid of its own coal mining operations and rather buy from mines out there at inflated prices. These are all very poor decisions, and NERSA needed to hold Eskom to account over the last decade for this conduct. It didn't do so, and now we sit with this problem.
Yeah, well, Eskom says it needs the money for them to stay operational. Do they have other options? I mean, should they be exploring other options instead?
Yeah, look, they need the money. I mean, Eskom's too big to fail. The country needs them. They're critical to the advancement of any economy. And the debt is extremely high. Should never have gone from the 40 billion rands a decade or so ago to the 450 billion. And that's because of all the borrowing and Madupi and Kusile. It just became such a mess, poorly managed during the Zuma years. So, yes, we can see now that they're talking about looking at investing into green and renewable energy. Well, they should have done that a long time ago. And now that's going to cost them more. I think the route that municipalities and citizens are going is to become self-sufficient in your own energy production. And that is through solar and through other options and gas. And take yourself off the grid if you can. We're seeing mines are going to be looking at doing that now that the president has moved the limit from 1 megawatt to 100 megawatts without license. That's a very good move. And I think that's going to have a big impact on energy generation at a far lower cost.
Yeah, but the impact of all of that is felt on the ground by consumers and businesses. What do you think that's going to look like with the increase as well as the constant blackouts?
Well, it's going to have a detrimental effect on the economy. Every time there is a blackout, it stifles business and revenue generation in this country. So what we do need to do is get to a situation where blackouts aren't happening, that the maintenance, which we see now, is starting to take place, that there are less and less blackouts. Winter's a tough period, and we haven't had blackouts for a little while. So I think Eskom is on the mend. You can see their debt is already coming down, but they're in a big hole as it is. So we're going to have to sit with this pressure, this constraint on our economy for a long time. But it's pleasing to see the state is now moving in the right direction, and that we can start to introduce self-generation and greener energy that is a lot cheaper and is going to take the pressure off Eskom.
Yeah, as OUTA, you've been very outspoken about e-tolling and you're really trying to get that reversed. Can you do anything here to try and make life a little bit easier for South Africans?
What, on the Eskom front?
Yes, of course.
Well, all we can do, as we have been doing for years now, is to present to NERSA every time there is an RCA application or a multi-year price determination increase, along with many other organizations, to present our case and view. But as you said, if Eskom needs the funds, then it needs the funds. And that's why, as much as we present for a CPI 5% increase, they still get the 15% increases because of the debt. So what we can do is continuously put government under pressure, present into Parliament, present to NERSA, and get them to realize that something has to change. but we are seeing the move in the right direction. We can't take government to court to not get these increases, because there are executive powers that the authorities have, which unfortunately, even if they make mistakes, they're entitled to make these mistakes. They're very costly. And I guess it all comes back to, well, if you have people in government that aren't ruling and managing systems and processes and state-owned entities for the people, this is the fallout that you get, and this is the cost that society has to endure as a result of those poor decisions. Fortunately, we're seeing that is now being reversed or being dealt with, but it's going to take many years. And the e-tolling matter, again, 10 years ago, we raised this issue. And here it is. It's failed completely. OUTA is going to fail as well as a result of government not engaging meaningfully with the stakeholders that have the information for them.
Yeah, thank you for joining us this morning, Wayne. That was Wayne Duvenage, the CEO of OUTA.